bundle of questions for which I seek answers for, and a few things that might be of interest.
Ah, I see. So you wish to speak to Baron Eldron. Well, she is in the dance. She's in the dance hall at the moment. She's entertaining. You can go in, but you must be quiet.
Well, such is the respect. You shall not interrupt such a graceful art form with loud noises that may distract and throw off the delicate rhythm that is being set.
Can I take your things, sir? Your bag, your coat?
I think I'll hold on to them for now, though. Thank you for the offer. I am most humbled.
Very well. Well, try not to track your muddy boots on the carpets, okay?
I'll try my best out of pure respect.
If you need anything at all, my name is V. I'll be in the dance chamber later on to check on you, to see if the lady needs anything.
You have my thanks, and Siegfried nods and continues forward.
And the elven woman, who appears very lithe, she has very fair skin, much fairer than you are accustomed to in an Arenal elf, or even a Corvair elf. And she has very short, well-kept hair. She seems very young, but has a look in her eyes as you spoke to her, as if she is wise beyond her years. And you watch as she disappears around a corner. You follow the chambers and the staircase up and up. As your memory comes back to you, you are reminded of the way through the Dements of Shadow, the Academy for House Villarn.
Siegfried stops for a moment and just stands still and puts a hand over his eyes as a few memories of his parents and such return to him. He takes a deep breath for a moment before continuing on, gathering his composure. Just
as you pass through the main chambers, on the second level, you find yourself in a large dance hall. And you see a woman standing in the center of the dance hall. She is resplendent in dark gray robes. And she is wearing a very thin metallic headdress that almost appears to be twinkling, as if made from mithril, and a large black gem in the center of her forehead. She's adorned with other black gems, and she has her dress has a very, very deep cut of her bodice. And you see long, thick, dark dragon marks up and down her slender arms. Her long black hair flowing behind her. She turns and she holds her arms out in various gestures. Delicate, deep purple gloves adorn each hand. And as she begins to spin, the bottoms of her dress flare out and become wisps of smoke. And you watch as she arcs and dances across the floor. The audience within the chamber are all silent. Some are standing, some are sitting. They all stare as if mesmerized by the lady of the house. This goes on for several minutes, the shadows growing and dark mist on the edges of her glorious dress. Finally, the dance is concluded, and her dress is no longer a wispy cloud at the end. The attendees in the chamber and the audience give a simple clap, and they all bow in a sign of reverence, many of them beginning to exit the hall. The Baron glances around the room, her thick black lipstick, her mouth turning into a crooked smile as she looks over in your direction. You watch as she retires to the edge of the audience chamber and sits on a large throne. It appears to be made of some type of bone with deep royal blue and purple accents. She gestures
Siegfried.
for you to come closer.
Siegfried walks up, and when he gets close, he kneels to one knee with two fists to the ground and awaits for her.
Greetings, young one. You have been away for quite some time. It has been too long since I heard the dulcet tones. Siegfried, how are you?
I don't know if I can honestly answer that and fully believe myself on how I am, though it has been a rather rough road. I witnessed things that, quite frankly, I can't unsee even if I wanted to.
What troubles you, my son?
I saw it when it happened.
Indeed. But that was years ago now. Surely, through your studies and your travels, you've been able to move beyond the horrors.
Well, to a point, I was actually in. My parents were in it when it happened, and
I remember.
almost all the soldiers. So it took its toll, especially seeing as I was not one to be in any conflict, and to see so many of the Karnath run in and not come back was. It took a greater toll than I expected. Blame my weak mind. I've slowly come to terms with it, but it feels as if I am not always purely chest one, but many. However, that is not why I've returned. There's a few things I have come to tell you and also ask you about.
I am, of course, at yours. Please, ask of me what you will.
First, I will report. Upon returning, I actually met a young gnome known Flitz, and while roaming around, I decided to go to the shop that she had given me. That was her uncle's, and come to find that it had been ransacked. Now, that's normal, you know, a few robberies. However, what isn't is the fact that it was by a gang of people using something called firearms. Apparently, they smelled a lot of gunpowder at the scene, and upon investigating a bit of a, I'm not too good with artificer terms, it was like a memory box that showed what one of the animatronics they had there saw, and they had kidnapped the artificer, saying that they needed his help, and upon investigating, I found that he does work and do repairs for Warforged. So it seems a bit odd that someone would use firearms to kidnap such a man. It seems a bit out of the ordinary.
You said was an artificer.
Indeed, and from what I saw, there's at least some skill there.
Who was this artificer?
Their name was Dimbles, I believe.
I am aware of such an artificer. He's very old. The deep ties to both his homeland, Zalargo, and, of course, deep ties to House Lorandar.
Which deep ties means a darker undertone behind a motivation for such a...
Do you believe that this man is dead?
No, it showed that they needed him for something. And whenever someone sketchy needs someone for something, it never spells anything good.
Well, I can tell you that I have personally not heard of any such kidnapping. And none of my agents have reported back anything to me.
That worries me greater.
When did you say this happened?
It was actually earlier this day to last night, I believe it all went down. We found about it earlier
Have you learned anything else? Other than the types of rumored types of weapons that they used? You said that they used firearms.
Yes, other than that, not much. The only vaguest connection I could come up with is I've also heard there's been sightings of strange warforged that have been arriving out of the morning. Really sleek and fast. I didn't catch the name. There was a lot going on. My friend actually got hit by a sky coach shortly after. That sums up my day so far. I can't remember, but it seems strange that around the general same time that these have been seen, that someone like Dimbles would be kidnapped. That I know of, not many artificers work in repairing or creating parts for Warforged.
Well, it's most unfortunate for this family. I feel for this Fliz woman that you spoke of. I take it you have taken upon yourself to investigate this matter.
Yes, it is something that intrigues me, and Fliz was actually pretty nice. I take out my Dimbledoozle, my Dimblebawoozle, and I pressed the button and let it fly out and around me. For less than a gold, she was willing to make this for me, and it can record sounds and even turn invisible, and it's quite a useful tool for people on our trade. And
you watch as she, with but a gesture, with a purple gloved hand, you watch her hand reach out and with her fingers outspread, and you watch an ethereal hand come off of her own hand and stretch out several feet and grab the device out of the air and then begin pulling it towards her. And she begins caressing and turning it over in her hand. Well, this is exquisite workmanship. This Flizzy, you say, quite skilled. We could have use of something of this nature within the Serpentine table. This would be a very useful device for spying. Perhaps we could speak to this Flizzy and see about having a contract made up. She could perhaps manufacture more of them.
yes, she is rather talented, and
If you would be so kind as to arrange for a conversation with her. I know she's understandably upset the disappearance of her uncle, but perhaps she'd be willing to give it a thought.
I'm pretty sure that would be within the realm of possibilities for me. She is a very nice young lady and very agreeable to a point, as long as you don't get on her bad side. Other than that, there is something a bit more directly related to us that I wish to ask about. As you know of my gambles in the carnival.
Yes.
Usually, knowing when other carnivals are around, there actually happens to be a very strange one. We're at the pet shop, and I heard of a man that purchased multiple dimensional hopping hamsters. I know it's not the right term, but I've come to love it, and you know how I can be. Ah,
Yes.
they seem so adorable.
And
However,
you start to continue on, you are abruptly interrupted. Oh, my lady, I apologize for not coming out so soon. Oh, and the young man that I spoke to before. Yes, V, what is it? I was just wondering if there was anything that I could be of help for. Did you want anything? You, sir, would you like some mulled wine? I make it myself, it's quite good. Has quite the kick to it. I add brandy.
I'll hold off on the liquor for now.
My lady? Yes, V, I will have some mulled wine. Thank you. And the elven woman very quickly moves along to the edge of the chamber, and you can hear the clinking of glasses as she is fixing a drink for the lady. The lady looks at you and says, continue.
Well, it came to my attention that a gentleman bought 8, and, that seems okay and fine, a bit sketchy, but what caught my attention is when she mentioned a carnival that I've never heard of that was set up and was gonna stay for a week. Now, if it was just a day or two carnival, that's fine, but many carnivals don't stay for long unless they're pretty renowned, and the fact that I've never heard of it really kind of bothers me.
Curious. You said a carnival. I have learned a few things of something of this nature. And I am willing to share this with you if you like. Perhaps I can shed some light on it.
Yes, any light on this would be rather helpful, less things to worry about.
But this is not a place for such discussions. V, I'll take my wine in my private chamber. If you'll follow me, Siegfried, into my private library. And she stands up from her throne and she gestures off to a room not too far off from the audience chamber. And she beckons you to follow her as she begins to very, very gracefully glide across the floor towards the room.
Siegfried slowly stands and dusts himself off real quick before deftly following behind.
You enter into a chamber with a very large, warm fireplace. The firelight crackles, and all throughout the chamber, the light dances off of the walls. You see rows and rows of books filled with tomes.
Such a beautiful library. Lots of knowledge around here. I happen to love books.
Siegfried, have a seat. She gestures to a very large, ornate wooden chair with a bright red plush seat.
Siegfried traces his hand on the ornate design before sitting down.
And as you begin to sit down, you see that the back of the chair has been embroidered with the house seal, a crest with a many-headed hydra in the middle. As I said before, Siegfried, I have learned a few things. And as she says that, you hear the sound of click as the door closes. And you look over, you see the young elven woman, V, as she is very quietly arranging the tray with the drink for the matron. This unknown carnival is called the Sea Maiden's Fair. It began holding parades through the streets of Cliffside the very moment that it arrived in Sharn. The master of the carnival is a man who calls himself Zardoz Zord, and he appears to work for a wealthy philanthropist who goes by the name G.E. Nevercaught. Now, I have heard that this Nevercott has recently been in the running for the position of the new Lord Mayor. Perhaps you have read it in the papers recently?
Indeed I have.
Nevercott is rarely seen in public, and he appears to work directly through Zardoz. If it is all possible, I know you are busy. Perhaps you would be so kind as to investigate this Sea Maiden's Fair for me. I cannot share much resources, except for perhaps one of my overworked agents. And as she says that, the young elven woman comes up and she serves the mulled wine to the matron. Thank you, V. And the woman bows very curtly and she backs away, but she does not leave the room. If there's something that you would be interested in, and that you would be willing to assist the house in investigating this carnival, finding out their intentions. I have heard that the Serpentine Table has recently sought interest. An outside party has asked that a agent investigate this Nevercott. And if you'd be so kind as to assist this agent, I'm sure that the agent would be more than helpful to you in investigating this.
Yes, that would be interesting, though I'd like to keep contact to a minimum. The less they know about us, the better. And if the other agent was to get caught, or vice versa, it would not be very good for them to know that a second one would be working on it, or much information about them either.
Well, this one is one of my best. Agent Blackwater has never failed me. She has a particular set of skills, I guess you would say. Isn't that right, V? And from behind you, as you turn to look towards where the Baron is gesturing, you see the maid named V, who greeted you when you entered the main chamber from outside of the Dements of Shadow. And she looks to the lady with a curt nod, and then she looks to you, and her smile widens. And she says one word. Slide. And the moment she says it, you watch as her form, her outfit completely changes. What was once a very simple house attire is now a very elaborate leather garment. And she looks
next
to the
time,
lady and looks back at you and she says, "So this one," and I will share an image with you what she looks like.
this whole time, Siegfried's face is just a blank as he just darts his eyes to her, and then sighs. You know, it felt a bit weird, the fact that she was so fair for such a servant, and the fact that she approached me after I'd already talked to the guard. Things just didn't really fit. I probably would have been more surprised if something didn't feel so off about it.
Agent Blackwater is trustworthy, and she has been known to, when she's not working, outside of the house of course, to watch those who enter the property and give them a good once-over before they go too far within the Enclave. You must understand this. This is, even though we are 4 years removed from war, our enemies are everywhere. Especially those that would wish the Undying Court and Eberron to be in ruins. You understand this.
I understand well, and I will accept the mission.
For all that I know, the majority of folk that come to meet me are not even House Valarin. That's why we began checking marks at the door. And of course you passed with flying colors, Siegfried. But I had to be sure. Agent Blackwater, if you'd be so kind to assist Siegfried and fill him in on any questions that he might have, any information that you may have to share with him. But of course, lady, I would be delighted. Siegfried, you said. It is a pleasure. I apologize for the ruse. My shift weave can be a bit startling to those that either can't afford it or don't see it very often.
It is more than fine. However, as I accept this mission gratefully, there is something a bit darker, both intriguing and personal.
Personal, you say?
I travel with a paladin named Samael, and he had, by his church, been sent to the City of the Dead. And we just so happened to run into a creature that called himself Goth.
Gath, you say?
Yes. Not only that, but
That does sound
something
familiar.
he said to me. Yes. Something he said to me troubled me violently.
Does it have anything to do with this Sea Maiden's Fair, or is this a separate issue?
It is a separate issue, though. Possibly connected. Can't rule it out for certain.
Well, perhaps the truth of it will be revealed to us. But I can tell you that I will assist you to the extent of my orders, which is to investigate this Nevercaught. The writ that was given to me by the Serpentine Table only asked for that.
Yes, I understand. We cannot overstretch the bounds. Well, you may not too much. However, I have a few things I can look into as long as it doesn't go against the Serpentine Table. Though I must ask, have you heard of anything about the Seven Shadows, or how they may relate to children?
It's curious. I have not heard of something like that. Shadows, you say?
Yes, when I speak to the Goth, he said that I have 7 shadows within me, and I should watch the children close.
That is unusual. What else did this Gath tell you?
Well, other than that, if my friend Samael, he gave him his dagger, a bone dagger, I believe, and said that he should join its coven in turn for us to achieve a potion to turn my friend back from a statue.
Well, that sounds unfortunate. Again, what does this have to do with this Sea Maiden's Fair that Nevercaught?
I don't know, there's just too many things all happening at the same time for it to be a pure coincidence.
Well, my friend, my slippery friend, we, being of the House Valarin, we are, and we do work in shadow, of course. Perhaps these passengers that you say that this Gath mentioned will reveal themselves to you in time.
However, I have spoke enough of dreadful and dark things to you. I do have one positive. I have a brand new amazing loot. And he opens the case of his loot and shows it off.
Agent Blackwater just kind of stares at you blankly and then looks over to the Baron. Is he always like this? Of course. Siegfried is, of course, a child of the arts. He is very skilled. His voice has soothed many a beast, and he is well known for his skills with the lute. It's a very beautiful instrument, Siegfried. Where did you obtain it?
Well, I went to a instrument shop just looking for one, and I asked if the man had anything exotic, and he said that a gentleman had come and dropped this off and never came back for it. So he offered me to buy it, and I fell in love with it. Such a unique design, and watch this. He plucks one of the strings to let the amplified tone out. It's amplified, and it sounds amazing, and it's new, it's creative, and oh, the work I could create with it.
Well, it sounds wonderful. But I don't want to take any more of your time, Siegfried. Perhaps you would be so kind sometime soon you could play for me? But I must retire. I have a few guests arriving later on this evening, and I must change into something more professional. You understand, of course.
Yes, I do. I've actually, since returning to town, already made quite a few connections that I'm actually meeting with later on, so I also must be on my way pretty shortly.
Well, I will leave you in the capable hands of Agent Blackwater, then. V, please, anything that Siegfried needs, see that you can do whatever you can. And I will speak to both of you again later. I bid you farewell for now. And she stands up from the very posh and cushy chair that she's sitting in, and she just sort of glides away from the firelight. And you watch as she gets closer to the shadows. Her form begins to dissipate and turn into nothing but blackness. And then she is gone. So, Siegfried, I'm gonna call you Siggy. How's that?
It sounds, a bit off-putting, but if that is what you prefer to call me, I won't, have much.
Well, I don't have much use for a bard, but if the matron vouches for you, perhaps you can help me. I'm going to head down to Cliffside this evening, and I'm going to observe the crew of the two vessels that are currently docked in the district. They're docked in Ship's Towers, which is part of Cliffside. I'm not sure of the third vessel. The third vessel, I have heard, stays far, far away from the docks, out in the hilt and the river. But
They
if you
couldn't make themselves less sketchy if they wanted to.
But if you would be so kind as to join me later this evening when the sun is down, and we will see what we can observe of the crew of the vessels.
Sounds like a date. Though, not much use for a bard, though I don't know how many bards take down a troll with a dagger to the...
A dagger, you say, and you watch as she holds out a slender arm, which has some sort of vambrace on it. And she just sort of gestures with her wrist, and a dagger extends out from her palm. I know my way around a dagger, my friend. And she very quickly gestures with her wrist again, and the dagger goes back into the vambrace. Well, It's no use standing around lollygagging. I'll gather my things and I will meet you in Cliffside in the ship's towers, near the docks. Shall we say 10 o'clock?
10 o'clock works for me. It gives me time to prepare things and maybe get some new gear. After all, what I'm wearing is definitely a few years old.
Yeah, I'd say you could use a bath.
I kinda lost my mind for a bit after what I saw. Everything's kind of fitting back into place, but I was basically a vanguard for a while. I didn't stay anywhere, I just kind of roamed.
You smell. I don't know if anyone has told you yet, but you really smell. You should probably take a bath. I wouldn't I wouldn't want our position given away from the reek coming off of you. And I'm certainly not going to stand downwind. Maybe you have one in your bag of tricks there. Maybe you can play a tune and the dust will magically come off of you.
You know, when I first played it, I kind of thought that the place was gonna cave.
Oh, maybe you should read the instructions first?
Ah, who needs instructions? It's pretty fun just to see what happens in your own spare time. Though, it won't have much need for being stealthy, so I probably won't really be using it when we're out, unless it really comes down to it. And if it really comes down to it, we're probably screwed for a...
Agent Blackwater, you can see just sort of rolling her eyes the longer you talk. And she just sort of crosses her arms and tilts her head and she says, "Okay, it was nice to meet you, Siggy. I guess I will see you this evening, and if I don't see you this evening, I'll just assume that you're dead. I will talk to you later, I suppose. Here, I'll tell you what." And she throws a stone at you. This is my personal sending stone. You can let me know if you're coming or not.
And Tara, I thought you didn't like me. Yeah, I'll let you know.
She just kind of stares at you with a blank look on her face. And she says, "And don't be spying on me with that. You
I
understand?
hadn't thought about it till you said it.
Or I'll pin your nuts to the floor with my dagger."
Yeah, I like your feist. I think we'll get along a bit better than I thought.
"And I'll shove my rapier up your bunghole."
You're not helping your case either.
And with a flourish, she gives you a curt nod, and she very quickly begins striding out of the room. And you can see as before she exits the room, you hear her say the word, "Slide." And her outfit immediately changes back to the very simple housemaid garments that she was wearing before. And she turns and looks back at you and says, "If there's nothing that you be needing, Mr. Siegfried, then I guess I will bid you farewell for now." And she gives you a wink and heads through the doors, and you are alone in the chamber.
Note to self, look into what exactly she uses, because God, that's cool. He bends down and straps up and puts away his loot before huffing it over his shoulder and looking outside. Well, I guess I might as well start heading over. Maybe I have some time to enter a quick trance before the others meet up.
Well, it is currently, let's see, it is currently 5:30. All in all, between the conversation and watching the dance and walking over to through the ward towards the Dragon Towers, it's taken about an hour. So at this point, you're fairly certain that if you were to try and hoof it down to Lower Tavik's Landing, it would take you probably another 45 minutes to an hour to get there on foot. Possibly even longer, depending on how thick the crowds are at this time of day. people going home, milling about, trying to get a bite to eat. And of course, you could also hail a cab, a sky cab, which would cost you two silver pieces to get down to Lower Tyvik's Landing, to the High Walls district.
We're hailing a cab, boys.
Okay. As you walk out of the Demence of Shadows, the man that was there before is gone. And as you stride out towards the courtyard, the children that was there before are all gone. And in the middle of the courtyard, you see what looks like a large fountain. And the water that is spraying out of the fountain is spraying up straight into the air and arcing out and flowing in a figure-8 pattern, and then over and under, and then back into the fountain again. And you see a cheerful gnome sitting on the edge of the fountain, and he looks to you and he says, "Hey, hey there. Hey, you know, for just 5 crowns I can make the most dismal district smell like roses. Ooh, ooh boy, where have you been crawling into? My goodness, I can smell you from over here. I could do something about that if you like. I could clean your outfit for you."
How much and how long would it take?
Oh, it wouldn't take more than a minute. 5 crowns, that's all I need.
I have been told lately rather a lot that I do smell. I guess I can do it for 5 crowns.
Splendid. And he holds his hand out and accepts the crowns from you. And the moment that you hand them over to him, he very quickly puts them away into a pouch. They're gone. You can hear the clink of coins. And then he just starts rubbing his hands together. He claps them. And he starts waving them in the air. I learned this trick a long time ago. Close your eyes. Are they closed yet?
Siegfried closes them, but has them open just enough that he can see. The oldest trick I know in...
Okay. Make a... I'll tell you what, make a performance check. Okay. So he goes, "No peeking now." And through slitted eyes, you watch as he begins to very quickly run his hands up and down your legs, and then over your torso, then up and down your arms, and then a little bit around your face and on your back, and then he very quickly, after about a minute, claps his hands together and he goes, and there's a bit of a sound like thunder that just claps out everywhere, and he goes, "All done."
I look around myself. Nothing's missing, right?
Well, make a perception or investigation check.
Gonna do a perception.
So, looking around, you see not much seems to have changed of your outward appearance, other than the fact that your clothes appear to be fresh and clean. Your leather armor looks like it's been cleaned very nicely, and there's a bit of a smell of roses all about you. And
You did quite a fine job.
you feel a little bit of something in your left ear, and as you reach up, you feel an actual rose has been placed over your ear.
I leave the rose there.
Oh, I'm so happy that you're happy, sir, of course. I am just a humble mage, right, of course. Thank you so much for your patronage, and please call upon me again if you're ever in Dragon Towers.
I think I will. What was your name again?
My name is Hector.
Alright, Hector. I'll be sure to call on you if I ever need the services again.
No, of course. If you happen to roll in shit, I'll be more than happy to clean your things for you.
I feel like it was more than shit, seeing as I hadn't bathed for a long time. Wasn't much of a priority, but still, I feel like it's inexcusable. That's more of an afterthought. I feel kind of silly now, but hey, you know, when you don't think about something for a while. Oh boy, look at the time. I gotta get going. I am so sorry, Hector. I will call you if I need you or no one that needs you. I promise you that, my friend. And
Oh,
with that, Siegfried dashes off, realizing that he's goofing off when he should be hurrying.
well, farewell, Siegfried. It was nice to meet you. As you rush through the district, are you looking for a
Looking
sky
for a
coach? Looking for a coach. As you look up overhead, you see many vessels zipping this way and that way. You see an actual carriage, similar to one that you had seen earlier in the day, which is being flown by Pegasus, and it's being driven by what looks to be a golden adorned warforged. And as you gesture out, do you call out to him?
You know, I believe we saw that Golden Warforge earlier, so yes, I will.
And you hear the sound of the Pegasus sort of nickering. And as they come to a stop, the carriage falls out of the air into an open area, one of the bridges, and comes to a stop, rolling stop. Each Pegasus has folded its wings back. And this very well-doffed and well-adorned warforged looks at you and says, "Good day, sir. Would you be needing a ride?"
Yes, actually, I would. How much is your charges? Because I don't know if it's standard with everyone around.
Oh, well, of course, sir. I never charge more than what the city asks of us. It is 2 silver piece per mile. Flat rate. If you go less than a mile, it's still 2 silver.
Well, I mean, obviously, that would be bad on you if we went less than a mile. You wouldn't be making anything.
Where were you wishing to go, sir?
It's a tavern, it's sword, something, so come on, Siegfried, your head needs to be in the game, man. I'm so sorry, I've been away from contact with people for so long that names in certain places just slide off of my mind. Um,
Well, perhaps I can narrow it down for you. What ward of the city is it located?
oh yeah, words. I should be, let me see here. Sorry, it's not my day at all.
Is it an upper
Here.
or middle
It's
or lower ward?
I think it's the middle or lower. It's not Gilf's House of Cheddar. I know that for sure. It was the sword and something.
You said it was a tavern.
Yes.
Oh, perhaps you are referring to the Grey Sword.
Yes, the Grey Sword. Thank you. It has been such a long day, and I've been such an airhead lately. You have my apologies.
Are you sure you want to go there? That place is kind of rough.
Well, I'm meeting a few companions there, and
Oh,
I
that's
have a
good.
bit of business.
That's definitely good. Having friends in that area is definitely a good idea. Although I will say that once you're within the Grey Sword, Brasco Nanan, the proprietor, he doesn't put up with no guff, so I'm sure you'll be just fine once you're within the tavern. Well, if that is the place that you wish to go, then that's no more than a mile away. 2 silver pieces, I can have you there in minutes.
Thank you, my friend. That would be much obliged.
Well, very well. Please, entrez-vous. and with a knock, he knocks with a cane on the side of the carriage, and the doors open up, and a ramp of stairs extends out onto the ground. Please enter.
I'm gonna want a sending stone from you, because I like your style, as Siegfried walks up the ramp into the...
All of my friends call me Mr. R.
Mr. R. Mysterious, too. I like you more and more by the moment.
Oh, of course, good sir. You are very agreeable yourself. So, shall we?
Only in company. Yes, we shall.
And with another tap of his cane, the ramp of steps folds up into the carriage. Not unlike the folding that you had observed before within the tavern inside of the tavern car of the lightning rail. The doors shut. Up, up. Ginger. Sassafras. Up we go.
Oh my god, I love Mr. R.
The cart begins rolling, and the Pegasus unfurl their wings out with a... The carriage lifts up into the air over the Dragon Towers district and begins flying and arcing out to the east towards Lower Tavix Landing. And that's where we're going to end for tonight.
I love Mr. R.